Happy Wealth Wednesday. So great to have you here today, Denise. It's been such a pleasure to have you part of the Eve community in the circles and really just an inspiration on your journey to financial independence and becoming part of this space, even at any stage of life. I think that's so great. And the power of women of all ages coming together is really impossible to articulate. And so I'm so excited to have you here today to share your story, and would love to kick off with just this question of, who you are just quickly and what you've done in your life and your career, and then we can dive in.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm a Midwesterner. I'm from the Chicago area. And I'm married. I have 2 grown children. I did my MBA at Northwestern University and did that in finance and marketing. And then after that, I was a corporate banker with Wells Fargo. I enjoyed doing that. I did that for several years. What I liked about it was the ability to really get involved in companies and understand how they work, understand how cash flow works through a company, understand why companies do well, why they fail. So I really learned a lot from doing that. What I did not like about being a corporate banker was I didn't like the pace of it. I thought it was not entrepreneurial enough for me. I have more of an entrepreneurial bent. And so I was really interested in working with a smaller company, but maybe within still the financial services space. And so after working with Wells Fargo for several years, I went to work for a consulting company that focused on financial institutions. And I was the regional manager for them in the Chicago area. And I also helped them to open up offices in Canada and in Australia. And so I had a team of salespeople and a team of consultants and facilitators that reported to me. So that was a lot of fun. I did that for 7 years. I really enjoyed that. And then I kind of got the bug to start my own company. And so with a couple of partners, we launched InfoWorks International. And that company really focused on teaching business skills to corporations. So things like problem solving, decision making, project management, negotiating skills, consulting skills, leadership, things like that. And we had a couple different parts to the company. We had custom design and development, and we had a team of facilitators and salespeople and consultants. So I did that for over 20 years. And I still continue to write and produce content in that area.
Fantastic. So as such an educator and a teacher, I'm curious what your first ever investment was, the very first one. What got you started?
Well, it was pretty simple because it was working at Wells Fargo. They had a stock purchase plan. And so I invested in that. All of us did. I mean, everybody thought that was a good opportunity. We were able to buy it, just out of our paycheck. And I kept that investment until it doubled. And then I thought, well, I'm a genius because this thing's doubled, and sold it. And of course, all my friends who kept theirs made a lot more money because it wound up splitting, several times. And so people did a lot better by hanging on to it. So it was kind of an early lesson in patience with an investment. But yeah, that was my first investment, was the stock purchase plan.
And what about in the world of Web3 and crypto? Because that's, I know, something that's been a passion of yours. What got you started there?
Well, I got interested in it in 2020 when everything kind of cratered. And just to backpedal a little bit, in my own personal portfolio, I've always held a little bit of gold investment. And so I was watching how that handled itself during the crisis, when everything just kind of, both in 2008 and then also 2020, I've been kind of keeping an eye on that as a store of value. And I noticed that there's a lot of volatility to gold. And, but yet I still wanted a portion of my portfolio to be in this kind of store of value area. And in 2020, I kept an eye on crypto as well, because some people in the gold field were saying, you know, crypto, they were naysaying crypto. And that made me curious. I wanted to find out more about it. And so I was kind of paying attention to how it behaved in 2020 when the pandemic hit. And that got hit just as well as gold did and as all investments did, but it actually held its own. And so then it didn't go away. It wasn't like a crazy investment. It didn't go away. It was still something that people were investing in, looking to the future with. And I thought, you know what, this can be something that I should include in my own portfolio alongside with gold. And so I just see it as a store of value. And I see it as, you know, there's a limited number of like Bitcoin, for example, that are made. And so I think that it's something that can hold that same sort of, you know, role in someone's portfolio. Absolutely. That's how I got involved with Bitcoin.
Wow. And so you really learned about it from these forums talking about gold. Is that where you?
Right. Really looked about, forums, and then also people that were invested in more of the macro investments, just general stocks and things like that. And people that were talking about, the economy, and you listen to a lot of different pundits, and crypto started becoming more of a topic, and I got interested in it, and you read more and you learn more. And then for me, it just didn't seem that crazy, because I did have gold in my own personal portfolio, and I just saw it as something that would be a store of value alongside with gold.
And how and why did you get into your space?
You know, I've always been responsible for my own money. I always was interested in. My father always encouraged me to understand money and to to think about my own money. And so that's just always carried with me. When I was in college, I started, investing on my own, got a credit card, just small things, but just always thinking that I needed to be responsible for my own money, so that, I could stand on my own 2 feet. I mean, it was really that simple. I think part of it was there was a lot of emphasis on women being able to take care of themselves with the women's liberation movement way back when. And like my mother and her mother, the men always took responsibility for all of the financial doings in a family. And so, I always wanted to be able to stand on my own 2 feet, no matter what happened.
Absolutely. And can you share a little bit about how you structure that? Like, how have you kept that in your own relationship, this independence, and how have you talked about that and had that conversation?
Well, my husband and I keep our money separate, but it was when we first got married, my husband said, keep your own name. And that's just the way we've done things. He's always wanted me to be independent and has supported my independence. And we've been married for 42 years, so it's worked out really well for us. And we keep our money separate, so I manage my own money, but we discuss our money as a couple. And I think that just has really worked well for me. I mean, I do have the financial background, being a corporate banker, but funnily enough, that doesn't always translate over to personal finance. And so I've had to learn a lot on my own about my own personal finance. And I've taken classes, CFP type classes, so that I could go deeper into understanding personal finance. So it's just been kind of the thing that I've done, is really focus on paying attention to what's happening in the markets, trying to learn, being curious. And I think that's part of it too, with things like crypto or Bitcoin is it something new? It's something financial. I wanted to learn about it. And as I mentioned, I had other investments and things that were I considered to be store value. And so I thought that was a good place to put some of my curiosity and some of my financial learning.
Absolutely. And there's this general feeling that crypto is this like crazy space and it's kind of being run by a bunch of like 24 to 26-year-old boys.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? And how would you share your thoughts with people who are later on in their life on like how to think about this space?
Well, I don't think that that's necessarily true. It might have been in the past that it was a bunch of kids doing it. But if you really go onto the financial sites and read people that are invested in just general stock portfolios, more and more people are talking about crypto, and more people that are in their 50s and 60s have at least a portion of their portfolio invested in crypto and Bitcoin or other crypto, Ethereum. And I think that that it's just becoming more commonplace. And there's ETFs now. There's a futures ETF that just got launched. Hopefully they'll come out with a spot Bitcoin ETF that'll make it easier for people to get invested in it. But yeah, no, I think it's becoming more common. It's really becoming more common.
And what do you think is the most exciting thing you've learned since diving into the space of crypto that you would want others to know?
Well, just the fact that that it's exponential, that there's just so much potential, not only as originally I went into it for a store of value, but now I'm excited about it in terms of the incremental growth, the adoption curve of cryptocurrency in general. I think that over time, there's more and more use cases for cryptocurrency, and I think that those are just beginning. I think we're just at the beginning of something. And I think for people that are older in particular, look back to what happened when the internet started. This feels very similar to me to that. And so I think it's an opportunity to get invested in something at the very beginning and watch it grow.
Absolutely. And is there a person or a company that has inspired you or really helped you in the space, and why?
I think that Laura Shin is an interesting person. She's a journalist, and she does the podcast Unchained. I like listening to her because she asks great questions. And I think for all learners, it's important to ask really good questions. And plus, she doesn't have the financial background or the cryptocurrency background. She's approaching it as a novice. And so I think that there's a lot you can learn by listening to her. She's written a couple of books as well. So she inspires me with her curiosity.
And what advice would you give to somebody getting started?
Understand why you're invested and what you're invested in. I think that a lot of people kind of follow the crowd and they don't understand what their investments really are. Like they invest in ETFs passively and they don't really understand what's in those ETFs or, what their plan is for how long they plan to be invested in different things. Because investment is all about timing and, understanding what investments work for different points in your life. So I just think understanding what you're invested in and why you're invested in it. What is it meant to do for you? If it's meant to be something like you're saving for your kids' college, you have to take account of the risk that you're factoring into something that maybe you need it in a couple of years. So maybe you don't want to be in the riskiest assets with that amount of money. So what you're invested in and why you're invested in it.
Such great advice. Thank you so much, Denise. You're always such an inspiration, and it's such a pleasure to have you as part of this community. How could people keep in touch with you and what you're working on with InfoWorks or just your explorations in this space? Where can people find you?
On LinkedIn and also on InfoWorks.com.
Amazing. Well, we will definitely be keeping in touch, and thank you so much. Have an amazing day.